panel, you have a window. The waffle house, again, small house, bedroom view to the beach. The waffle house, the walkway. The small house, again. This is the seat panel house, the first one. It's not a good photograph. Shotgun house, small house, that's me. Solar house, yellow house, small house, yellow house, shotgun house, seat panel house, waffle house, shotgun, waffle, shotgun, shotgun, seat one. And that's some drawings I put in the book, like trying to visualize how could be the world with my designs repeated many times. It's like a seat neighborhood with all of my houses. And that is, so here you have the link if you want to see the book, populararchitecture.org. The second link is the link if you want to buy the book and be sent abroad. And finally, my two Instagram pages, one is of my work, the first one, and the second is of the things that I'm doing in the university. Thanks a lot.
Bravo. Yes, Alejandro.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. Very interesting. Sorry, I'm moving my computer now. Again, thank you very much. It was very, actually, your presentation really challenged a lot of things that have been talking, and you not only add a small piece of sand to a reflection, actually you bring me a lot of questions. Let's see if there is some questions in the chat, and like anybody want to participate, I would say just open your mic and talk.
Yes, we have a question. Okay, in order to revalidate this popular architecture, which is very obvious because like most of the construction in South America happens through in an informal way, or let's say without an architect, what do you think should be the role of the architect now, like regarding that? Yeah, like popular architecture is what we find in the reality, and it's good to validate that. Like, so what is our role?
Hi, that's a good question. Firstly, I would like to say that I'm not so sure, at least in Chile, that architecture is being developed mainly without architects. I think that architecture in Chile is mainly done with architects. Because the architects are very strong on development of housing, for example. I mean, you need one, just as if it's high-rise buildings or houses, there's somebody behind, an architect, probably a bad architect, but there's an architect anyway. I can understand that maybe there's an image of how things happens in Latin America, and usually Chile is a little bit different of what happens in the rest of Latin America, but nevertheless, I think that the topic could be understood here in this context. So what I think about the role of the architect in this case, it should be, it's very, it can sound stupid, but it's like to be a good architect, no? Like, I think that's the main role here. I think that architects are not doing well their job, so they should. And I think what I try to show with my projects, or what I try to do with my projects, if you take care about making a good design with the constraints that we have in our context, like money, technique, etc., you can get a good architecture. No, so usually what I think that happens here is that some architects, the star architects, go to do very expensive projects and to flow their creativity and try to compete with the most important architects of the world. And the other architects, they refuse the challenge and just do shitty things. No? So I think, okay, what are thinking the star architects can also be in the other cases. No, you don't need to be designing with gold to make a good window. No, you can make a good window with standard materials, standard measurements, etc. No, my strategies that I have realized that I have done these strategies are to make sure that you can do a good design with few resources, not just economic. So that is, I think, is the role of the architects here in Chile. No, if that works, if my kind of hypothesis works, probably the more people can get the better design, and not meaning that design should be strange, unique, or etc. No. Anyway, you must know, or maybe not, but we are inside of a very big social crisis here in Chile since October of 2019. Just before the pandemic, we started a very big problem in Chile. A lot of demonstrations. We are changing. We win that we are going to change the constitution because our model works very bad, and we have a lot of inequality in our country. And usually, what the people saw about Chile are things that have been done by the elite, and not of the rest of the country. No, that's also a critique that I made of what is shown about Chilean architecture outside. No, just very rich houses or things like that. When there's a lot of good architecture also that is done with less resources. So, in the context of the social crisis that we're living right now, I think we have many important things to do. The first one is to make sure in the constitution the right for space, that is not something here that is in the constitution, so nobody cares about that. The right for space has an immediately impact in the right for housing. No, so here housing is very bad. No, I cannot live in a good space if I'm not paying the half of my salary. No, me myself, I cannot buy a house. It's not possible for me to buy a house. So that's an important thing to do. And the other important thing also that is it's funny because it sounds obvious, but it's not obvious here. No, like doing good your work, because I think that we are part of the problem of inequality in Chile. No, inequality expresses in the city and also in the spaces. No, why you put a family in 50 square meters? No, like why don't you fight with the guy that is asking you, maybe in the government, to do a house of 50 square meters, and told him that you cannot live in 50 square meters? No, why do you design some spaces in the or housing in the suburbs without considering there should be some health equipment, education equipment, etc. Now we have a lot of, at least in Santiago, of segregation. So I think that maybe I got far in the answer, but that the things I think that architects should do here right now in Chile.
Ruben, tu vuelta.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I will. Yeah. I was thinking about your answer, about the money, but also about our function in relation with the question of Nere, the role of the architect, and kind of, I agree totally that maybe our role should be to be providing this space of quality and be sure not only to provide the space when some client asks something, like some city, some like place do that, to be like, sorry, with this situation in this place cannot be done housing because it's not enough square meters, it's not enough budget, it's not enough equipment. So I like it very much, this point. And I was thinking about this point that you were saying, to make architectural popular, make architectural famous, or like people like it again, like how so you explain a lot of things and give a lot of clues, but this thing, like, do you think if the architect will have this role that you were saying now to the last answer, we will get again this feeling of the architecture that everybody like?
That's a question?
Kind of.
I'm not sure I understood the question.
Like how to get, yeah, sorry.
No, go on. Maybe it's better to have an explanation of the question.
I was thinking, like, for me, it was very challenging, your proposal, like how to get that architectural get popular again.
Like, okay.
No? And I like it. You already say a lot of things. I was like, maybe asking you, like, what will be like if we make architectural popular again? What do you think then suddenly will change?
Well, I think that's something important to say, that is that is related also to the first question, is that we can't do everything. No, the development of the cities and the buildings are also a responsibility of many other people of the society. No. And usually you can understand maybe when you see some projects or some cities that are designed from zero, like Brasilia. In Brazil, there is a case that we know very closely here. Usually things doesn't fit so well, no? Because probably designs are too intellectual, no? So in that case, it's important to say that it's not just a job of us. Probably the solution or the good impact of these ideas will never happen also, no? In that case, I also say in the book that I understand architecture as an utopia, no? Like, I don't know why, maybe it's like a modern thought that you can have the power of changing everything. No, that's very strange. We have been thought like that with Lorena, not with bad intention, no, but that's the message finally that you receive, and you probably that you're giving to the students that is worst, no. So in that case, that's a process. I mean, will happen in some. Probably there are some cases that can be more useful, like housing, no, like. In housing, probably you can make a big impact, no? Because you probably, if you involve in a government plan, you can be designing, I don't know, 1,000 good housing, for example, no? Or maybe one urban plan that is well thought, no? So maybe that's my kind of answer to your. And another thing that is interesting, that is your lecture about my idea of the different meanings of popular architecture. When I said pop, no, like pop music, it's not that I think that it's like that, but it can be understood like that. I think that's also some kind of clue there that the popular process of or being popular, for example, like an architect, that can help also, because that can get the benefits of the architecture understood by everyone. No, that's also something that I propose in my book, to be teaching architecture in the schools, no, in primary, at least in Chile. You never know what's architecture, never in your life, until if you have the possibility of building a house. But I think that architecture and its benefits should be taught in the schools too. And in that way, probably architects can be a popular figure, a public figure, no? And maybe some kids will like to be an architect, because architects are very interesting people that are helping other people, no? I don't know, probably in Europe, things happen differently, no? But in the architectural circuit in Chile, the famous architects are like gods, no? Like, and I don't know if I would like to think that in Europe, that maybe is more developed, that kind of things. You would like to have an architect in a television program because you want to hear it, no, and not to say, just to say hi to his good work, no, and to say, and to get inside of you the anxiety of how I will get. That's what happened to me, at least, no. Like when I knew Mies, for example, in the first year, like what I had to do to get to be Mies, no, like that was my first thought. Afterwards, I realized that I will never be like Mies, no. That was very helpful, no. But so.
I have a more comment than question. First of all, like, thank you for your lecture. It was really inspiring, and I think it's touching a lot of really important subjects in architecture that still actually don't have any solution. And because many times I saw this kind of spontaneous architecture, and I think it's really inspiring, and I was trying to somehow implement it in my design, but I couldn't find a way how to do it, because I was always thinking that actually the most beautiful of it is that it's spontaneous, made spontaneously by people who just like solves a problem. And there are also like some solutions like planning, non-planning from 80s, where urbanists were trying to make like book of rules and to give people freedom of this creation. But I think this is still like not managed, this spontaneous architecture and this popular architecture to be like more present in our architecture world. And I think that like in Europe, we can actually see it, that everything is so regulated that actually at the end, most of the houses are quite the same. And I think we are losing like identity in their architecture. And I think this is what is really missing. And if people would have more freedom to create their own spaces, I think it would like go back a bit to these roots, how maybe it should more functioning like. And I was like, I'm really excited that you managed somehow to implement these parts of spontaneous architecture in your work. And yeah, thank you a lot.
Thank you, Magdalena, for your comment. I would like to comment your comment. Well, the first thing is that not to forget for me, but it's important, is that maybe you make a different understanding of something that or some idea that is behind the lecture that I haven't referred specifically to that. Is that my appreciation of popular architecture is very like perceptual, no? It's like it's a feeling, no? It's a feeling that is I'm very stirred about popular architecture. Like I see popular when I meet with popular architecture, I say, oh wow, what a good design. I just say on that, no, I just have the feeling, and I took that feeling to my home, but I never tried to make a link between popular architecture and my own design. That's why I say that I tried my architecture to be popular, but I'm not, and the strategies that I do are not taken from the popular architecture. If I can make it myself clear, no. So I think it's not possible, no, to actually, as you feel it, as I understood that you feel it, that you see a spontaneous architecture, and then you can do something to do spontaneous architecture. That's impossible, no. And popular architecture, I will never do popular architecture, for example, no, because popular architecture has all these characteristics that I have told you, no. So I think that are things that are absolutely parallel, no. The spontaneous architecture that can be understood as collective intelligence, or can be understood as popular architecture or other concepts, is amazing. You know, it's like that these things happens, and I think it's amazing if you have the possibility to feel it also, because that for me is a very strong feeling. And so I'm trying to do things popular, but in another way. There's no link between them. Okay, I don't see a popular architecture and understand what are the operations, the materials, whatever behind, and then I reply it. I don't do that. It's impossible. No, that's one point. The second point is that, well, I have been in Europe sometimes, and I have also exchange students that came from Europe, and I have conversation with European architects. So I think I know a little bit, or this idea of the regulations that you usually have, and I think that in Germany the most, of how doing architecture. I think you must change that way of working, because as you said, and as I have seen, they're very restricted. No, that's like a trap, a fail to creativity. No, having so many normatives and stuff like that. It's funny because when I was finishing the school, it started here a phenomenon that was called the golden age. The golden age, the golden generation of Chilean architects. No, like we did it. We are here in the deep south of South America, and have half of our blood Indian and the other European probably. We returned back to Europe and said we are wonderful European architects, but born in Chile, no? And then appeared these guys like Aravena and Radic and others, no? Like that were the representatives of this golden generation, no? That's how it should be done, architecture. But I think that the problem is that we were trying to do European architecture from Chile, no? it's not that I'm going. I wanted to make some. It's not that I like nationalism or the vernacular processes. No, we are in a global community. No, you cannot be make yourself fool of what is happening in other countries of the world. But what I thought in that moment that could be interesting for the rest of the world that we were doing here in Chile is that we have a lot of freedom to design, and things can be and buildings can be cold, and buildings well, they cannot fall down because we have the earthquakes, no, but we have a lot of freedom to design, and that is what it's something interesting that can be, in this case, in this topic of regulations that maybe can be taken care of. No, like, well, maybe it's interesting what happens when you have less regulation. No, for example, I have a house that I didn't show it right now, but it's in the book. I invite you to look at the book. That has a polycarbonate wall, very long, in a small house, and it has no isolation. And many people ask me, no, like, what did you do with the isolation? I said, no, okay, if it's cold, you put a sweater, and if it's hot, you open a window, no, and the warm air goes out. No, like. I think that if you cross the boundaries of regulation, probably you can reach a more popular architecture.
Hello, my name is also Alejandro. I have a question. This process of architecture, oftentimes, I mean, as you have described it, you take some inspiration of popular architecture and then reassemblage it to think about your projects. And I was thinking, how does it go the other way around? What is your experience and what is the challenges you have experienced in sharing that knowledge with the people building the popular architecture? And what kind of potentials do you see there? Because I think actually in Latin America, just building on the last question, there are so many opportunities to design and so many people designing their own homes. I don't know how is it in Chile, but for example, in Colombia, where I come from, people are allowed to design a two stores house by themselves, and that's permitted in the regulation. So there is a lot of room also for just private people to design their homes, and I think there is like a very big potential space of dialogue between architects and people building their own houses by themselves. That is kind of not, it is not used. The potential is not used as it could be. We take a lot of inspiration, use it in our projects, but then kind of don't give back. And I would like to hear your opinion on that.
Thank you, Alejandro. Well, in Chile, you cannot build a second floor or 2 stories house without permission. You can do a one-story house and below 100 square meters. That you can do it by your own. That's a limit, the regulation here. So, maybe I just want to make clear the idea that, again, that I don't look, first, I don't believe in the process of inspiration, and I don't like really the word inspiration. I'm not going to go further with that talk because it could be very long, no? But I think there's a risk about thinking that you can design inspiring on other things, but just a point. So I don't. When I look to and I meet popular architecture, I just enjoy myself. No, like I just feel it. Like it's wonderful. Like, and I keep it there. I don't take anything of that to my work. it's not possible. Also, no. That's I want to be very clear about that idea, no, because it goes, it confronts the idea of inspiration, no. Like I really believe, I really like that my projects are a result of a rationalist idea, no. Like I took variables, whatever, no sé qué. I have a layout, and I develop the project. And I also don't like to be taking care about form in the beginning. I don't like to be searching for a form. I want the form to be a result of this rational process. I know that maybe I'm too straight or rigid, probably. But what is very good for me is that when I finally see the projects that have been born in a very rationalist method, but finally the project is not so rationalist, that's I like it a lot. That when it happens that. Now coming back to your comment or your question, I think I have two ideas. How our knowledge could be taken or have an extension in normal people, no? How these thoughts probably can help this guy that can build his 2-story houses better because he has some information from an architect. First, I think that what I try to do, is the use of low technology. No? Whether you design, me in this case, with low technology, then the benefits of the results of the details, maybe of the way that the rain is going down, the sun is coming in, whatever that I have designed, can be reproduced by anybody because it's very simple. No, that's one point. Then the other one is the use of prefabricated systems. That I don't talk, I think, in any part of my book about prefabrication, but I work a lot with that. I really think that architects can design building systems that can be reproduced by any people. No, and I would be very glad in 10 years more if I put a building system, an open source, and there's somebody that have used it and have a nice result. No, so in that turning back to the people, that is not turning back because there was never a turning in. No, but in this way of trying to spread our ideas or our knowledge in common people for improving architectural design, I think that we can, there's no contact in that case. I mean, if I design a building system that somebody download a PDF, print a sheet, and after build with that, I will never have a contact with him. No, he will have a contact with me. So how can, probably to get to your comment, to have a relation of coming and going, I'm not sure how could be that process, but probably there's a need for architects to be more reachable for the people. No, I don't know how. I don't know if there should be an office in the municipality where there should be an architect. Well, it actually works like that. Here in Chile, if you want, you can go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 12 to ask for anything with an architect in the municipality. But I mean, the range of time is not all the week. Usually people, architects or the secretary of the municipality don't let you in if you don't have a real request or stuff like that. Maybe this idea of teaching architecture school could help, but I think that there's a challenge behind that, no? That we're not getting in contact with the common people. We can give things to the common people, but probably it's very difficult to get things back. No, I think there could be many possibilities of building a space where we can meet together and improve in general the way we are building our cities.
Thanks a lot. You give me a lot of things how to address that relation, but I'm still wondering, or I'm still a bit confused to think what is the relation between the popular architecture or between the first part of the presentation where you spoke about popular architecture and the second part of the presentation when you spoke about your projects. So because I kind of understood that it was based on the learnings, I don't know if the word is better than inspiration, but I kind of understood that it was based on these learnings on popular architecture. Maybe you can build a bit on that.
Yes, when I was preparing the lecture, I thought that confuse will appear. And that's why I put this page of my book where I explain it that my book that is called Popular Architecture is not about popular architecture. And it's that I'm trying that my designs can be popular, no? So are two things that don't have nothing there's no relation between of them. Actually, before this lecture, I never have a thought about popular architecture. I reached the concept that is maybe it's not so used to hear about this concept of popular architecture. Probably there's no book that is called popular architecture. I searched, so there's no. So it's a phenomenon. The popular architecture is a phenomenon that is very interesting. That I just look at it, that I just have a feeling, and I think it's not possible to, by this condition of spontaneity, to take something for that for designing another thing. No, so I think there's a huge void between my appreciation, my thoughts of what I think is the popular architecture, and how I try to make my architecture to be popular. No, that's the main point. So what my idea, my proposal that is in the book is that in my trying to make architecture more accessible to more amount of people, in that effort, I have realized that using these strategies, probably I can reach that goal. No, like design it with low technology, design it with material optimization, and design it with a structural reduction. No, that's are my strategies. I think I can make that probably. My architecture could be more popular, but my architecture will never be popular anyway, no, but because the processes probably are of many years, etc. So my main objective with this book and with spreading this idea, like in this lecture, is like try to make an effort, try to look for a strategy to make architecture more possible to be built like for everyone, no, and not be thinking or listening to these academic ideas of turning you to an important artist that makes a very important project once in your life in Dubai. No, like that's not the way of making architecture popular.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. That was really a good final statement. We kind of very sorry. I think the conversation right now is very interesting. We could keep on talking for hours. Actually, we cannot because we need to give now a break. We are going to start again at 4 with the second panel of the day. But again, thank you very much. It was very, very, very interesting. You give me a lot of ideas. I'm also a bit like the other Alejandro, our student. a bit confused right now. I have a lot of things to ask you, a lot of things to say, like yes, yeah, but no, see, actually, that well, we'll do it. Thank you very much. I hope we
Gracias.
can keep on talking soon. To everybody,
Okay.
like have a break, and we see you at in 20 minutes.
Well, thank you everybody. Muchas gracias a todos. The idea of this in my book is to make all of the architects like try to rebuild their basis on designing. So it's good if you have ideas or you're confused. That's the aim of this lecture, and that's things have working. And you're invited everybody to look the book in the web and ask for a book if you want a printed copy. Bye bye.
Super.
Bye bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao ciao.